is telling us is that biological information for making plants and people, is there in order to make proteins, and most of the interesting machines and structures inside the cell are actually comprised of this biological material, protein. So, in carrying out that process, we have the biological material, we have the ultimate product that's making up the machines and the structures, and we have this intermediate, which is called the messenger. And the messenger is another chemical called mRNA, or messenger RNA. So we have the DNA, which is the genetic material or the biological information. We have the messenger, which tells how to make these structures and machines. So what we see here is that the flow of biological information as expressed in the central dogma is unidirectional. It only goes in one direction from the information to protein. It never goes back from protein to DNA. So again, here you see the central dogma of biology and the fact that ultimately we're going to be making protein out of it. So the direct expression of biological information is going to be the production of protein. Now, in all living things, and it turns out in viruses as well, we find 4 different groups of large molecules or biomacromolecules. Now, these include the proteins, which, as we said, are the machines and the structures. We also have sugars and lipids, which are involved primarily in providing energy. And then we have nucleic acids like DNA and RNA, and those are involved in carrying out information storage and information expression. So again, we're going to be focusing in on proteins at this point. Once again, we see the central dogma. We're now going to break this process down, and each of those little arrows in the process has a name. The process whereby DNA makes a copy of itself is called replication. Now, that has to be carried out because in order for you to have a child, you need to be able to pass on your biological information, so you need to be able to make a copy of it so that your offspring can have it. The second process, where DNA makes a messenger to go out that's ultimately going to be used to make protein, is called transcription. So that's the step where the information in DNA is used to make a similar molecule, a similar information molecule called RNA. And then we have the third step, which is where the information in RNA is used to make those machines and structures of the cell, protein. So in carrying out this process of genetic information, we have 2 machines that the cell uses. One is a machine that uses DNA to make a copy of DNA, and we call that machine DNA-dependent DNA polymerase. We have a second machine that makes the RNA, messenger RNA, and that uses DNA to make the information in RNA, and that's called DNA-dependent RNA polymerase. And these are things that are found in cellular organisms. All cells have both of these machines. So, focusing on RNA, we're going to see that some viruses are actually made of DNA, and some viruses actually have their genetic information in the form of RNA. Now, RNA creates a problem for the central dogma because if you look at this, there's no way for RNA to make a copy of itself. Okay? The central dogma only allows RNA to make protein. So what we find is that all RNA viruses violate the central dogma of biology. So here's something that was true until we found this exception, and viruses are the exception. And viruses violate the central dogma in one of two ways, at least RNA viruses do. One way that RNA viruses might violate this rule is they carry their own machine for making a DNA copy of their RNA information. Okay? And this process from DNA to RNA was called transcription. So the process of going from RNA to DNA is called reverse transcription. And this is the machine that's found in the class of viruses known as retroviruses because they go backwards in the central dogma of biology. The second way, and the much more common way that RNA viruses violate the central dogma, is by having a machine that allows them to make an RNA copy of their RNA information. And this is called an RNA